Hello and good morning. Happy New Year. Hello everyone, good to see you. Sam Peterson, what's up? Annie, Mallory, Michelle, Carol, good to have you all here. Sean, welcome to this fun new show. My name is Paul Trani. I'm an evangelist for Adobe. And so the whole point of this is to really not only kick off your new year right, but also just kind of get you informed on all the news and happenings you need to know that are happening in a creative's world. Everything from technology to hot new designers, kind of who we have this week, and even some pro tips. I'll show you the schedule in a second, but I want to welcome you here. Hopefully you can hear me okay and everything's coming in fine with audio, huh? All right, Happy New Year. So let's get this party started, shall we? Let's keep the conversation going, by the way. I want to welcome you. Hopefully today's treating you well. So this is the short of it. It's like I just kind of want to highlight some awesome guests that we have this week. We have some news with some technology at Adobe that I'd like to share with you, as well as show you some hot new creative that you might have missed. We're going to highlight somebody in the community as well, as you can see here, answer any questions you might have. That happen on the forums and in Discord, because there's a couple different places where you can actually ask questions, and we want to make sure we're getting those answered and all that fun stuff. So, looks and sounds good. Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate it, because I get paranoid sometimes. All right. Pro tip of the week, just for fun, right? Things that honestly that have inspired me. And then we'll check out some free stuff. So that is the goal, folks. So let's dive into this. I got 1,000 things going on here, don't we? Today's already a little bit crazy, huh? Yeah, it's been a long time, and I want to just say, hey, welcome to you. All right. Stick around for the free stuff. So we have a bunch of cool designers and creatives here this week, just so you know, at least virtually. I'm just going to highlight these 4 right now, but also we have daily creative challenges going on as well. But we have, as we can see, Isaac Orloff does awesome illustration. Cody Brown is going to be out this week. Gabriella Yanku does a lot of photography and sort of staged work, like you can see there with food. Sorry, my king is looking a little weird. And the Chutzpah sisters will be with us as well, showing some graphic design. But if we actually just kind of take a look, and I'll just switch screens real fast, and let's get this party started right in here. As we can see, if I take a look at Isaac Orloff's work, again, super glad he's going to be here. Like with a lot of our designers, they have their professional work, and then they have the things that they do on the side. Like you could see right here, these gorgeous sort of landscape pieces, painting a lot with light, and it's going to be really fun. So stick around for the free stuff. How do you join the Discord? I will show you. I actually have a link for that, but if somebody could post that, that would be awesome. There's a couple different Discords. There's some for Illustrator, Premiere, so that's a video, Photoshop, and then XD. I have all of those for you. But I mean, look at this. Come on, guys. Come on now. Look at how amazing he is at painting with light, as you can tell. So again, I'm just super excited that Isaac's going to be here, and he can kind of show off how he works. I'm wondering if he uses photo references, things like that. Totally curious about that. Thank you, Sam, for posting that. I appreciate you, buddy. Awesome. Cody Brown's been a guest with us before. He's going to get in more into UX and UI, and you could check out his awesome work. And actually graphic design, too. I know he does UX, UI, so here's some. Right, so we've had him on as a guest for that stuff, but also this straight up design work. But we have news that I need to tell you about as well, things that have happened over the past couple weeks that you need to be aware of. As I move along, you can see Gabriella's work as well. You don't need me to click through all this stuff, but these are I'm just trying to get you guys excited about our guests this week, because there's really something for everyone. All right, any relation to Cody Bear? That's a good question. You'll have to ask Cody Bear, but the answer is no. Right, so the Chutzpah sisters, they do a lot of work and concept work. So some of their stuff they actually create, and then they can't show you but hopefully we can have them show us some stuff. Oh, that's interesting, this little line right here. Yeah, there we go. That, you know, maybe is client work that they've created that maybe didn't make the cut. Not that it was bad, it just wasn't maybe what they were looking for or whatever. But anyways, I think that's going to be fun. Happy New Year, Antonia. Awesome. So that works for me. And let's kind of do, I also want to like inspire you. Hopefully this does, but let's kind of jump in, and I want to kind of talk about also like sort of inspirational work that you may or may not have missed. So let's take a look, sort of new creative out there, right? And I don't know if you guys are like keeping an eye on Behance, but they have the best of Behance that they release, best of 2020. By the way, I could share all my resources with you, which would be super fun to do. But let's take a look actually sort of at new creative. So the best of good old Behance. They release this again every year, and it just gets you kind of inspired. I can go ahead and post that to chat if everything will work out okay. If not, that's okay too. Apparently I gotta join Behance to become part of the conversation. Anyways, it's design trends. I could get that to you guys in a second. All right. Oh, you know how they, you know, new year, new logins everywhere is what it seems like. So let's take a look at some of this. By the way, I like this. Martin Newman has been kind enough, actually reached out to him. Kind of got into a little bit how he does this work, because this is pretty darn impressive what he is able to do with lettering. So he does this 36 days of type. He doesn't actually use Photoshop, and that's okay. This isn't all about Photoshop and, you know, Adobe software, because this is actually supposed to be about everything. I got keying issues. Welcome to the new year, buddy. I can fix that as well later. Zoop. Or right now. Let's fix that little dot right there. Boop, there it goes. So again, super cool work. Martin Newman, we can see his glowy images, right? I can show you how to create some of this stuff in Photoshop as well, but it is pretty inspiring what you can create in there. Going down a little bit further, kind of wanted to point out, this one I actually love. Rafael Alejandro Garcia's work as well. So just kind of peruse that. Get inspired, shall we? Right? Give me 1 second to log in, and you can see what we have here. Cool. Scrolling down, I'm going to kind of cover some of this as well, by the way, on Friday, sort of creating some of this motion. It's pretty darn cool. Yes, you wonder how he made it. Like, so my goal for Friday at 8 a.m., 7 a.m. Pacific time, I think. Basically, I'll be covering how to create, going from vector to raster to motion is the goal. So, so that's the goal. Hope you guys are into that. 049. Boom. Done. Okay, so let me show you something else as well. So we can see all this work. We have this lovely image and all these various Tyler the Creator, awesome work. And now that I'm logged in, I can probably post this link to you guys as well. Cool. Boom. Boom. All right, that is actually the cover art, what I just posted, and then we can get into design trends. I'm going to post that to chat as well, so you know where that's coming from. Eric, what's up, buddy? I always appreciate Eric Sue's always so positive. Good guy to have around. So you could check those out. By the way, I've actually kind of created this design resource page sort of everywhere I pull from typically and where I see what's going on. It's a lot of these links that you'll see. You'll see creativereview.co.uk, Creative Block as well, right? Creative Cloud has its own, right? Digital arts. So these are typically my resources that I scour to sort of see what's the latest and greatest that sort of thing. So, and 99U. So check out some of these. I'm going to post this link as well for you. Just giving you all these resources today. Get your new year started right? Some of these. There's logo love and logo design love. I love both of these. Let's go back. Sorry about that. There we go. 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 Loaded them all up. You can check out all of these resources. I just posted this already in there. Oh, James, seen a poster for the show Snowfall. That's what I want to learn how to create. There we go. Logo design love, creative block as well. So cool. All right, so those are my resources. All right, so that's the whole goal is like, you know, give you guys the resources so you don't have to hunt for what's going on with designers, with creatives, and also what's going on in the news. Which brings me to some new news, right? So we've talked about, you know, some of these new creatives. We talked about the best of 2020 on Behance, right? But also we have some additional news with a lot of this. One is that, just so you know, we're basically discontinuing Flash, the Flash player, right? So chances are you haven't been using it. Chances are you're like, oh yeah, Flash player, I remember that. I have a career built on the Flash player, like probably a lot of you. But in general, you want to go ahead and remove that because it could be a way for hackers to kind of take advantage of your system. Worst case scenario, right? Chances are you're not using it, but just go ahead and I will actually load up that. Here we go. Just so you could find out more. I can also share my screen. So anyways, that's something that happened over the break that I was like really sad about. But again, we announced this 3 years ago, right? And it's finally come around, said, hey, you know what? Go ahead and uninstall the Flash player is what you want to do if you want. So say goodbye to Flash. Just think of all those resources, all those various, oh man, files. There we go. Just checking out things. So anyways, those SWF files basically on your desktop will not necessarily work, but you can go in and just search for Flash Player. Boom, boom. Flash Player. And feel free to uninstall it. What I think would be fun, just kind of search for SWF. So we can search for SWF, and these are all the Flash files that you may or may not know that are even on your system. A lot of these ones that I've built, looks like I've found over 2,000 Flash items on my desktop. So it's little things like this that are probably not going to work, but look at all this. There's too much in here. Look at this. This is fun. All Flash. And I don't know. I'm kind of just reminiscing, to be honest with you. A lot of Flash stuff. Animation. How about this? Here's Flash for you. So, all right. Oh, James, you're so cruel. So cruel. Man. I will not delete these, by the way. I will probably uninstall the Flash player, but I'm not going to get rid of these. These are all on an archive on a separate hard drive. Right? I've archived them, and you never know what I'm going to need them for, if I will at all. But either way, it's fun to kind of reminisce at everything that maybe you've done in Flash. So just want to know if there's any Flash, there we go, Flash users out there as well. Huh? Here's some old stuff. Look at this. All right, I'll stop. Arcadis. When's that from? May 2002. That's a long time ago for that file. So go ahead and archive those. And enough about that. That was fun. Man, I got so many Flash things. There's over 2,000 SWFs here, by the way. So here's a butterfly 3D. Okay, apparently I was doing this at one point in time. This is just an animation of how to use 3D in Flash. Now, if you're wondering why we've gotten rid of this, because HTML can do everything that Flash did in the past. Right on. Christy used Flash for in your web browser. You remember Shockwave as well. Let's close that. Shockwave had the best Flash games back in the day. By the way, there are also resources out there. So we'll just jump out here. We can go to it's like I don't have it up right now, but there we go. There are some, here we go. There are some websites. There's a website that's been archiving a lot of those Flash games. So I'm just looking at this Mashable article that talks about that. So Flash, how to remove it, and then also where some of those Flash games are archived. Anybody remember Strong Bad? All right. Used to make web templates in Flash. Awesome. So, by the way, Flash is actually, that's the deadline, by the way, today. So let's take a look back at this fact, just so you know. Okay, which browsers and operating systems currently support the Adobe Flash player? So Safari no longer supports it. And I'm not sure where, but honestly, it won't work in Chrome for me today, just so you know. Oh yeah, Homestar Runner was awesome. All right, cool. What's up, Claude? Good to see you guys here. So that's news. Go ahead and feel free to uninstall, at least archive all that stuff. I just want you guys to be safe with all of this. Another announcement is, of course, Big Sur. And if you go to community, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But Big Sur was announced as operating system. Let's just jump in here really fast. Does Photoshop work with Mac OS Big Sur? So this was released back in November. We have just a blog on that and certain issues. So when it comes to upgrading, just like with anything, I would give it a little bit of time before updating, because there are some known issues if you happen to update to Big Sur on your Mac. Okay, so that's version 11. Cool. Yes, RB, thank you. Chrome finished support, that's what I thought as well. Cool. Yeah, and that's what you need to know. So Flash depreciated, throw it, do what you want with it, and just be careful about upgrading. It's really good to not be an early adopter with some things, right? I will say with the Apple Silicone, we have a Photoshop beta running on the Apple MacBook Pro M1 silicone chips. And I've tested it out, and it actually is pretty darn fast, right? So it does use, there's a Rosetta emulator so even the emulator is good, but the native processes that work are pretty darn quick. But we're still working on that. So think about that if you're looking into the new MacBook Pros. Cool. So hopefully I've covered what Big Sur is, by the way, as well. So again, you'll just see that in the forums. It's the latest release of the Mac operating system. It's version 11. So that's what it is. So just be careful. If you don't have to, don't upgrade. I've actually been kind of testing it out, which is why I had to upgrade. And I've tested out the new Mac. All right, so let's move on, shall we, folks? right? So there was that, right? I want to kind of get into some fun stuff for news. Since this is the new year, we have some, the Pantone colors of the year, which is illuminating and ultimate gray, as you can see off to the side here. So cool. Ultimate gray, and basically it's a yellow. So give me 1 second. I'm going to jump out there too. And you could easily just do a search on this. Oh, wait for it. Color of the year. Pantone's color of the year. Give me 1 second. It is Monday, guys, isn't it? That's what they tell me. Let's move stuff around. All right, cool. So let's check this out really fast. I don't know if you guys like the colors of the year or not. I personally do. It's better than classic blue. So last year, the color of the year was classic blue, which is, in my opinion, like the most boring of all the blues. But we just wanted some stability last year, right? We wanted something we could like trust. And blue is what, 40% of the population's like favorite color, right? It's the most corporate color. You'll see it everywhere. And we've departed from that and gone into sort of this ultimate gray, right, and lovely yellow, which I'm personally into, right? Super cool. I kind of want to talk a little bit about this and how we would use this in a design since I have time. Shall we do that? Right? Because I think it's fun just to do some work, shall we? So we have ultimate gray and illuminating. You could always do a search for this. Do a search for like Pantone ultimate gray, and you will get, if you jump out there, you will get the hex colors right here. So I can grab this hex color, right, and use it in a design. So let's jump in here to Photoshop. This is very much a Paul-like design, as you can see, right? But I can jump in here, and you know what? Add to my swatches a new color. Let's add to my color picker. I can go ahead and paste in that color value. That gives me that lovely gray. Click OK, right? I've already added it here, but what I would do is right down here in your swatches panel, you could turn around and add it to your swatches panel as well. So this is going to be whatever foreground color is there. Click, and this is our, boom, ultimate gray, like that. Boom, there it is. You can see I already did this earlier, right? So I did my homework, right? And this will now be part of my Photoshop and all that good stuff. Cool. So there it is. I'm going to do that really fast because we're going to play with this some, huh? Let's do it. Pantone. Illuminating. By the way, find a Pantone color. It's right in here. You want to find it, you can go ahead and kind of pick a color or color code or name. We'll do illuminating. Let's see if illuminating will bring it up, actually, since it will do it based on the name. No, it doesn't like it. It does not like that, does it? Anyways, let's move on. Boom. I'm just going to search in a browser. There it is. Hex. Grab that. And drop it in here really fast. Okay, there it is. In my foreground color. Boom. Illuminating. There they are. Cool. All right, so that's going to travel around with my Photoshop, which is nice. So I only have to do this once, which is great, just so you know, right? Isn't that cool? Fury, you are too funny. All right, I'm going to start looking at my chat a little bit more. Hello, Lee Designer. So how would I take this? Because like you mentioned, like Fury's like, oh, sort of, you know, you might have a certain style, but how can I use these colors, say, in Photoshop, you know, using the colors of the year? So let's do that right now. We can add just a new layer. Let's get rid of a lot of this stuff. A lot of that's kind of getting in the way, let's face it. And sorry, my resolution's kind of high. Right in here, let's go ahead and grab that color, drop it on that layer. We have that gray, right? Another thing we can do, you ready for this? We can actually take this, add that on top. Color, there we are. So basically what I did is I took this color, this is our gray. Even though it's gray, it's considered a color, but I just want to take the color from here and tint my hands that same color. So with that selected, it's a clipping mask, and then change your blend mode down to color, and that will go ahead and tint it. Right, here's another new thing we can try. You ready for this? Not new, actually. Let's turn off that, turn off that. Let's go down here and let's add a gradient map. So we're going to use those two colors with a gradient map, like so. Right, here it is, all these various gradients, right? I have my gray right there. On this end, we can paste in the color, which is that yellow. And there we have that gray to yellow gradient map, as it's known, okay? So this is okay, right? We could flip this. Typically, I want maybe a little bit more gray than I do yellow, so I'll just drag this color blend stopper more to the right, and it will adjust accordingly. I can even add additional darks by adding another color stop right down here, and let's bring that down some. Right, so by bringing that down, just brings in a little bit more of the darks. So this works out pretty well too. I can click OK. This might be what I want to go with. Command J. Let's jump that layer. Let's make a new version. Let's reverse it. Bam! We've reversed it. We've of course changed the whole look of this using that gradient map. Cool. Happy New Year to everyone. So now when you're using color, and I'm getting into pro tips, by the way, as a designer. When we're using color, we have these two colors. Would you really divide the colors this way? Would you really split them down the middle? Ugh, silly animation. There we go. Right? Here we have these two colors. We're splitting them right down the middle. Do you think these colors carry the same amount of weight? Like, is gray as powerful as yellow? I would venture to say no, right? In fact, you should use, it should be 4 parts. If you wanted balance in a design, you'd use 4 parts gray to 1 part yellow, to use cocktail terms. But right in here, so what does that mean? This is what I'd want. Do I want this version or this version? It's totally up to you. But this one, obviously, we have way more yellow than we do gray. So let's just kind of, let's take this down to practical terms, because that's what I want to do. Here's my hands. They're gray. So this is mostly gray at this point. And I want to add a little bit of yellow. How much yellow will I add? Like I said, it's like a 4-to-1 ratio. I want to point this out, again, as resources. Like, it's cool that we have a new show that talks about all this new stuff. What doesn't change is color theory, right? So what I typically use, Itton's, what is it? Elements of Color. Here we go. I use this book. I'm sorry I don't have it with me right now, but it's the Elements of Color, right? So this is where a lot of this comes from, right? It's a really short book. He's written a much more robust one, but this is just sort of a small book that's really good when it comes to how you should use color. So right in here, this shows you, this Itton's Elements of Color says, hey, you know, if you're using purple or gray is even worse, so it's probably more like 5 parts. But since yellow is so intense, it's complementary color. You're going to need more of it compared to the yellow. So that's all I'm pointing out, okay? Does that make sense? Right? Same thing here, and I'm so sorry, like, this is just a snapshot from the book. A yellow to violet. Does it make sense? 1 to 4, 3 to 1, basically, when it comes to yellow and violet. red and green, we're just like, we just had Christmas, right? When we use those two proportions, it's equal portions red, equal portions green. I hope this is helpful, guys. I think it is to me, right? When I think about adding color, if I want to add harmony and it's making something harmonious, I would kind of keep that in mind. So let's jump out there, back into our design really fast. Grab an ellipse, grab our yellow. There's, oops. Just draw this out. We'll do something like that, right? There's our lovely yellow right there. From there, I would give it more of a outer glow. Give it a second. Let's crank it up. There we go. Like so. And you want to add, again, we're getting into pro tips here. You want to add 2 outer glows. You actually can't. For some reason, you just can't. But what will work just as well is a drop shadow. So you add that drop shadow. That drop shadow serves as a second outer glow. So right now, it's just set to normal. We can see that. See it expanding out, right? Let's see. Should be able to move this around. But anyways, we're going to see it expanding down. I just want to decrease the distance, increase the spread and the size, right? Not quite that much, but I'm basically doubling that up. I don't want that to be black. I want it to be that yellow color, of course. And now we have 2 intense colors right there. We'll click OK. You got it. Yes, thank you, Kara. I think color theory needs to be talked about more. Because the point is, it's like, oh, these are the colors of the year. Like, what does that mean and how do we apply it practically to a design? So that's essentially what we're doing. We can see right here, I'm trying to mimic the sun, right? We could take a look at pictures of the sun. So again, when I'm working, I'm like, hey, you know what? What does the sun look like? Just type in sun, right? We'll take a look at images. When we look at the sun is not yellow. Like everything around it is gold and orange, and then the sun ends up being white. So I'm going to take some cues from that and jump back in here and say, hey, you know what? Let's make this color white and then make what's around it, you know, that outer glow and the drop shadow. That's going to have that intense color, right? That I'm working on right now. Again, just giving you some fun little tips. I might give it a little bit of a tint, by the way. I think it needs a little bit of a yellow, kind of like that maybe. And then from there, we can start to play with this some more. Okay? So obviously, like from there, I would actually add a new layer. B for brush, and then just paint a little bit on top of it as well. Right? And we can change this to, say, overlay, right? We're giving it more and more of a glow there in the center, right? What's happening here is like yellow is really intense, and then we have this gray, which is nice and muted, that we can work with as well. Let's paint around. Just give me 1 second. Painting around like so, and that's what we can start to work with. I'm going to get it more into pro tips as well, if that works for you guys, because I'm actually kind of done talking about news and all that good stuff. So feel free, by the way, just kind of like hit me up on social media. I'd love to hear your pro tips. I'm sure you guys have some that you typically use, but we're getting into the pro tips for this section as well. And we're also going to answer questions. So let's get back into it. Right in here, right, we have that yellow that's just on top of everything. What I can do is use clipping masks. Come in here, boom, just like that. We can go ahead and clip that just to the hands if we want to. And now we can go ahead and kind of play with, say, that soft light. So typically I'll try a couple of those things to kind of get it to look the way I want, okay? I'm doing this really fast, by the way, but hopefully you can kind of catch a vision for how it started and sort of where it's going. Beyond this, what I would actually do to make it look, just give it a little bit more character, I would do a lot of things, by the way. So much I would do, so much. Right? We know if it's brighter right here, we kind of want it to be darker on this side. So again, we can always do that with these hands. We can always add a new layer that's a clipping mask, right? And then we can always paint on just the hands is what I'm doing right now. See, painting just on the hands like so, making it darker and just giving it a little more contrast, as you can see, right? So I can add that. I'm doing it a little bit more extreme just so you guys can see it. So it stands out a little bit more in the stream. Another thing to think about is like, I don't necessarily have to add more to make it better. I think as a design, this is pretty powerful enough, okay? But it's just working on these fine details. As I add another layer mask, we can get into levels. So adding a levels, here's my levels panel. Right? We can see what levels is doing, right? I really just want these levels to affect the hand. What do? Turn that into a clipping mask. Boom. There it is. And we can see it's just affecting the hands. But just like I did a second ago, rather than painting, this is a pro tip. Like rather than painting with black and white, I personally think it's much better to apply a levels or curves and then add or remove to that mask. Okay, so here I have this. This is so intense, right? Because when you paint with white or black or another color, it adds this smooth black or white to your design, and that makes things look fake. Because it doesn't have the texture of, say, the photo. I'll get into that later. I'll get into that maybe on Friday. And let me check the time. Okay, checked. Okay, so right in here, we have this contrast that we've added. We'll hit X to reverse these two, because we're really just going to be playing with these two. Bam, 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 bam. All right, so I'll flip it to black. I still have my brush selected. And we can go in and we can start to remove, right, from parts of this. And let's really crank up this flow so we could see it a little bit better. But let's kind of remove just on the outside. So it's really intense there in the center, right? And then trails out. You might think it's too intense. Hey, no problem. You could take it back down, right? But you don't have to paint with white or anything else like that. I don't know. That's all I got for you. I mean, I got a ton more, by the way, but I just want to pause and emphasize how important this is. Because when I paint with black, what happens? Just creates this nice smooth, no, that's not what I want. I'd rather have a levels that I can control the brightness and all that good stuff with. Okay, I'll stop now. Not really. There's more I need to do. Okay. And also to remind everybody, geez, I got more screens I needed to load up in here, and I'm sorry. But okay, there they are. There they are. We'll get into Community Spotlight here in a second. And then also we're going to answer some questions, okay? But I'm just going to finish out this quick illustration since I have a little bit of time. I'll come in here. We will add a new layer. We'll make this layer, say, all gray, right? Here's a good pro tip. You ready for this? I'll hold down the Option key, and I'm going to click on this new layer icon, right? So I'm going to hold down the Option key. Click. Boom. Now it brings up this new layer. And really I'm going to make this my grain layer. But I can go in here and I can change this to something like soft light. And we can fill soft light with a neutral gray color. So 50% gray. Click OK. That's what you'll typically do. And here it is, by the way. So here it is, the gray. And here it is set to soft light. This is another way people will actually sort of add brightness and contrast to a layer. So click right there, or actually even sharpen. So watch what happens when I add a little bit of a sharpening tool to this. It actually sharpens up the photo below it. Okay, but this is what I wanted to do really fast. Wait for it, people. For this layer, I'm going to go to Filter. We'll go down to Noise, and we'll add noise. Boom. We're going to add some noise. We're going to make it monochromatic, right? And I can adjust the grain is what we're doing. We're adding grain to this. Adding a little bit of noise, maybe making it a little less intense, making sure it's monochromatic. Click OK, and then we can go in back to, say, soft light, right? So I was just taking it off soft light just to show you, but now we have this nice grain and gives it more of sort of a retro old type of feel, as you can see. Cool. That's all I wanted to show you. Happy New Year, everybody. Good to have you here. I'm still kind of going over everything that I want to share with you, but also wanted to finish up that and switch over to Community Spotlight. This is just my chance to kind of highlight somebody in the community, and honestly, they may or may not be here. I don't think they are, but they do a lot of work online and actually creates work as well, sort of over the break. So person I want to highlight today is Biola. So Biola has been pretty active in Photoshop and usually participates in our creative challenges as well. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, and I'm trying to dig up some of her work as well. Here we go. So big shout out to Biola, just highlighting a community member, just so you know. She's been active plenty, but we can see some of the work that she did, and I appreciate everybody's work that they've done right over the break especially. So she did this a couple days after Christmas. Wish you were here. She did this in fresco. And again, just to highlight her and what people are doing. So, oh, Biola, you are here. Oh, see, you're sneaking around in chat, but we just wanted to honor you and say thank you so much for hanging out with us and participating and putting in the work, by the way, because I've seen you here for a while now, and just thank you for being a community member and sharing your art as well. So this is all done through good old Discord. So, Biola, appreciate you. Keep up the great work. As we can see, as it's done in here, let's give you a smiley face like so. So great job, and we appreciate you, okay? Feel free to, oh, Biola, you're too kind. You're just too much. Just stop it already. All right. So thank you so much for all your work and for everybody being involved. I also want to show and talk about questions as well. So we appreciate you, Biola O, as she's known in Behance. But feel free, keep the questions coming as well. So there's a couple questions that you could always ask. Where I just was in the Discord, Adobe Photoshop. So here's discord.com/invite/Adobe Photoshop. We'll get you in there. All right, and then you can go ahead and post and ask questions. What will be the 2021 design trend for background? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Haha, Mark, I love your idea. Give me a chance to breathe. I like the 30-second little video clips. You know? I'm into it. All right. Cool. All right, I have so many browser windows open. Give me 1 second as I bring up some of these community questions that we have. All right. Great idea. I need a good 30 seconds of breathing time. Yeah, so feel free, like, hit me up, by the way, and thank you so much for that. Hit me up on social media if you guys have any questions. But this is one place I would go. There's two places that I typically remind you to go. Community.adobe.com, right? So that's where you can ask questions. We can go into whatever, any one of these. Photoshop, we can see the latest. And we just talked about Photoshop working with Big Sur. The answer is yes, it does, but there are some known issues, right? And we can see people are posting, this is like 8 minutes ago. Not in English, so probably need to be translated. But anyways, this is where I typically like pull from or take a look at sort of the, not the latest, but maybe the most to least replies. What's the best way to learn Photoshop? So I'll kind of jump in here and take a look at some of these. Here's a question right in here that I wanted to answer really fast from Daz. This is a couple days ago, but how do you limit blend modes to certain layers? Wants to change the blend mode to different, but only wants a certain number of layers. Wants this blend mode applied to a certain number of layers, right? Not everything. I only want to apply the blend mode to be effective on the layer right below it, right? So how would we do that? In fact, you can see he even, we can take a look at this video. See, he only wants it to be applied to this little area right here and not to everything. So how would you do that? How would you do that? Well, guess what? We already did it in Photoshop earlier. So let's just turn off some of these. Let's save that stuff. Let's roll it back, folks. Roll it back. Okay, so here we are. Let's do just that, if you don't mind. Like a lovely yellow, for instance. Wait for it. Brush, crank this up. Hard round brush. Here's my brush that I'm going to paint with on a new layer. Right, we can see what that does. We only want this to affect, say when this is set to difference, we only want it to affect the hands, right? So what we do there, and I did this a couple times already, is we make this a clipping mask. Create a clipping mask right here. So that's what you need to do, right? Boom. Boom, we made this a clipping mask. Now it's only affecting the hand, right? So we can see how it's only affecting those hands and not the background. It's by making this a clipping mask. It's this fun little arrow right here, right? Easy enough. I could make this a little bit more advanced. Say, for instance, what if we wanted to affect the circle and the hands? Well, let's take both of those. Let's group them together, right? So now they're a group, and we'll take this swooshiness. Again, we want this just to affect now just the hands and the circle. Well, we'll go right over here, and we could do the same thing with a group. So you can use a clipping mask on a layer group, right? And now you can see that it's affecting the circle and the hands. That's all I'm showing you, right? Easy enough. Clipping masks is the answer. Not this design. This design is ugly. This one's a little better, right? Cool. And also, if you're curious how I actually posted this to Instagram this morning and how I typically get things to Instagram since I am on a Mac right up here, we'll click this little share button right here and we can go ahead and airdrop it. I typically airdrop it to my phone as long as you're on the same network. There it is. Zoop. Airdrop it to my. I typically airdrop it to my phone just so I can see what it's going to look like on my phone, right? Just to see how it looks, and then I'll post from my phone. So that's how I get it on my phone to share. Cool. All right, you got it. Let's move back out here, answering questions, folks. Hello, Drew, Bruce. What's up, Biola? You are too much. Related conversations to that, let's actually jump back out and to also highlight the fact that I'm like, of course, not your only resource, but as you get into Discord, we have things like chat and ask a question. So under advice, you can say ask a question on doing a particular design so others can get back to you as well. Okay. Cool. One more thing for you, and that is free stuff. Give me 1 second. This is where I should play that animation that I don't have. But want to share this list with you as well. So, free stuff. I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you go to stock.adobe.com and then just add free, like I'm doing right now, bam, just add the word free there on the end, and that's going to give you all the free assets that we've added to Adobe Stock. So here we are. Here are our free assets. Free photos, free vectors, free videos, right? Cool. Hope you guys know about that. So again, ton of free vectors that you could use, which is pretty darn awesome, right? Just add free to Adobe Stock, adobestock.com URL. All right, other places I'll go to Chroma Supply. Here I am giving away all my pro tips, by the way. So I'll go to some of these resources. Pretty much any place that's sort of selling assets will have a section for freebies. Chroma Supply does that as well. So you get these fun sample packs of these just cool, stellar, amazing sculptures and sort of light, nebulous, morphy things, as you can see, that you can use in projects. So grab those as well, which is pretty darn cool. They're high res. And then from there, also, let's take a look at the Noun project. So we want an anchor. Go ahead and search on Anchor, get free assets there. Brush Easy and Pexels is another resource as well, so kind of keep those in mind. I'm going to let you guys go because that's kind of the end of my time, but hopefully you guys appreciated this. It's just a bunch of sort of what's happening this week and what's happening in the industry is kind of what I'm sharing with you. Not to forget about Flash, Big Sur. I think we talked pretty much just about everything. Make those New Year's resolutions. You know what? Make sure you stick around because who we have next is looks like we have Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Voodoo Val. So thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to leave you with that schedule right now, the immediate schedule. Have a great day and hit me up on social media. Would love to keep the conversation going. Thanks so much, everybody. See ya.